You're ready to start that brand new wargaming system. What would be the first step? Now, one might say, and I would often say jumping into a new miniature wargaming system, acquire as many miniatures as possible, as quickly as possible. And we're going to put that aside for a moment. One of the things that we explored a while ago, I pushed up to the Wargaming Tactics Archive and the Mailbag Archive, was this idea of a miniature-based wargame setting up a plan of attack to purchase miniatures. Purchasing miniatures, how to do it so that you can represent a force on the table quick enough, but at the same time have some variety. One of the things that we don't want to get trapped in when starting a new wargaming system is purchasing lots and lots of miniatures and not understanding how the flow of the game works, and then getting stuck with units or models, miniatures that either don't work or just we're not really feeling them. So we explored that tactica. But I'm going to focus in this vlog on that first step, getting you on the path of win. Now, with any wargaming system, absolutely, there's a learning curve. You're going to have to put in X number of games, 10, 15, 20, whatever that number is. But there are numerous things, that's why we're here, numerous things to cut down on that learning curve. So I say that because there's the duality of you're going to have to just play some games. That's the whole point of jumping into the system and having a lot of fun, experiencing that. But there are steps that we can do to increase that win. Now, the first question, of course, is this a wargaming system that is already established in your gaming community or with your group? Or are you booting this up from scratch? And I just wanted to framework that a little bit with two examples. First is when I started playing Warhammer 40,000 back in the day. We were playing Dungeons and Dragons, went into the gaming store, and my buddy Naps was like, Fritz, check it out, orcs with guns. And I'm like, orcs with guns? No, that can't be. We see Space Marines, we see Imperial Guard. We're sold, we're done, we're in. You got to pick your army right there in that moment. And we got together with a couple of friends, and literally, we played 40K. A few years later, I took a little bit of break of playing 40K, decided to jump back in, and found out there's literally a gaming club 3 blocks from where I was living. 3 blocks. And walking into that gaming club, 20, 30 players playing 40K, just a well-established 40K community. So sometimes you jumpstart things from scratch. Sometimes you walk into the system. Maybe I play Dungeons and Dragons, and I notice on D&D night at the store or the club, some friends playing war games, and I decide to jump in. Or with God Tier. God Tier is a fantastic skirmish-based miniature game. I jumped into God Tier literally just buying the core sets and a couple of war bands. That's it. I wasn't even thinking like, hey, my buddy would like this game, or we'll play this, or we'll do that. I was so impressed with the system, the missions, and the feeling, the sculpts of the miniatures. Sight unseen, I jumped in, and we built up a God Tier miniature community in the area playing skirmish battles. I framework that to say, because if you have an already established community, that is going to cut down your learning curve a little bit. You're going to be able to network with other players. You're going to be able to see different armies in play. Win games, lose games, the games you lose, kind of see what's going on. You're going to get a little bit of modeling, not like miniature wargaming modeling, like modeling other players and seeing what are they doing, how are they approaching their army. Now, if you don't have this established group, YouTube can do that. Watching battle reports, finding other players that play your faction or your army, connect with them virtually or tabletop or just on YouTube, seeing that. If you boot things up, just you and some friends, that takes a little bit longer, but you're still going to use YouTube and try to network. But the number one thing, learning the flow of the rules. Every wargaming system is a simulation. Some do it better than others. Some seduce you just with the models and the rules are trash. Other times the models are just really not that great, but the rules are amazing. And a rare war game, say like God Tier, both the rules and the models are both fantastic. You need to understand the flow of the game. The flow of the game. You can't pull off tactics. You can't pull off mission goals. You can't pull off unit synergies and combos. Well, you can. It's very hard if you don't know the when and the where of how the game works. The rules. Now, I'm not saying memorize the rules. That's what the rule book is for. That's what your best friend is for, to ask them in the moment, hey, what the heck's going on here? And you can always look up rules. All the wargaming systems thrashing around in my head, I think I know them pretty well, but there'll be times where we'll be playing even something like Battletech I've been playing for years, and I'm like, hey, I'm spacing on this rule. I think I can do that. Like, what the heck happens? And just look it up and make a decision. But I'm aware of the phases. This is the initiative phase. Okay, we're moving. This is the firing phase. This is the physical phase where you attack close combat with mechs, right? Understanding those phases of the game, because that's going to determine what I can do and what you, as my opponent, although I'd rather think of us as gaming friends, that we can do at the same time. What's going to happen? I can't come up with a great tactic and not realize, well, that phase in the game is 3 steps down, and I'm not going to be in position or have anything left to pull that off. Or, oh, this unit operates in this way, operates in the second phase of the game. Well, I have to get it there, right? If it's like an assault type phase, that's what it's really good at, close combat. Well, I've got to get it into position. So the first phase of movement, how am I going to do that? Maybe I have to buy a transport. Maybe I have to have a screening unit, right? You're going to understand the phases of the game, what you can do. Also understanding the phases of the game, you're going to be able to look at your opponent's army, list, battle group, armada, whatever it is, and see what phases of the game they're going to be primarily active in with those units and what they're going to do. You're going to get an idea of how they work, how they're going to try and stop you. That is the first place to start. Go through the rules casually, play a couple of games, write yourself a flow chart. You don't have to memorize it. You don't have to know every rule. But no, this is this phase. This is what we do. Then we do this. Then we do this. That's going to begin to assemble that skeletal structure, that gaming skeletal structure that's going to allow you to mount on tactics, unit synergy, unit combos, figuring out the mission. How are you going to win the mission? How is your opponent going to win the mission? How are you going to prevent them from winning the mission? How are they going to prevent you from winning the mission? And from there, you can build it and framework it out.